Hello everybody, I'm your host Woody, and today we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 people who summoned real demons. And no, I'm not talking about your ex-wife or your coworker who talks about you behind your back. From dangerous attacks to suspiciously helpful interactions, let's get into it. Number 10, Maria. Ouija boards are wooden boards with planchettes that people use to try to communicate with the dead or even try to summon demons. It appears that this actually happened in 2006 at an all-girls Catholic school near Mexico City. Nearly 15% of the school started to suffer from mysterious symptoms, everything from headaches to difficulty walking that would come and go with no warning. It was determined that the cause of this was a student named Maria, who had used a Ouija board to summon a demon. After finding out, she was expelled from the school. There are many reasons that certain people might try to call upon a demon, whether it be to take care of an enemy or try to become famous. So what was Maria asking for? Gotta be a good reason, right? Well, it turns out she had asked the demon to help her school win a basketball game. Definitely a good reason. Number 9, the Ammons family. Latoya Ammons lived with her 3 children in a small home in Indiana. While they only lived there for a year, she said that their entire life was turned upside down. The things that occurred in the home were written down in a document of interviews and police reports that was almost 1,000 pages long. So just what happened? Shortly after they moved into the home in 2011, they were swarmed by flies, even in the cold winter months. And no matter what the family did, they just kept coming. One of her children apparently levitated over top of their bed, another climbed backwards up the wall, and all of them spoke in deep demonic voices. These events were witnessed and believed by both child support workers, hospital nurses, and police officers. The children were removed and received exorcisms from a reverend. After everything had been done, Latoya and her family moved away, believing to this day that her home and her children had been possessed by demons. Ghost Adventures host Zach Bagans later bought the home in 2014, but had it demolished 2 years later, stating, "There was something there that was very dark, yet highly intelligent and powerful. Personally, I think this is just a great free advertisement for birth control." Number 8, Zozo. While a seemingly cute name that a child might name their dog, Zozo is apparently a demon who often appears to communicate through Ouija boards, looking to take advantage of those who choose to play the dangerous game. This group of friends, however, had a different type of interaction when they came together to use the board. The planchette told them that they were speaking to someone named Sue, but upon asking its true name, it started spelling out Zozo over and over again. It didn't stop until one member of the group asked it to. When asked why it had listened to him, Zozo told him that he was special. The group member then became able to guess what the demon was going to answer, and was even correct in calling it out when they blindfolded him, saying that Zozo was speaking to him in his head. Eventually, they ended the game when Zozo started to spell out the group member's name over and over again, the demon only leaving when he specifically asked him to. But apparently the experience wasn't all scary, as they reported that the demon had, quote, cracked jokes and said some funny. In my opinion, a demon who cracks jokes is still a demon, and I wouldn't really like to mess with it. Number 7, Roland Doe. In St. Louis, Missouri sits a home that was once the residence of a boy named Roland Doe, also known as Ronald Hunkler or Robbie Mannheim. When he was 13 years old, he became distraught over the loss of his beloved Aunt Harriet. She had apparently taught him many things, including how to use a Ouija board, because nothing bad has ever happened from using a Ouija board. He quickly started to experience strange things like scratching sounds, leaking walls, and his mattress moving. Multiple exorcisms were performed on him but seemed to fail, scratches appearing on his body, including an X, which they thought represented the number 10, saying that he had 10 demons inside him. As time went on, he would seem to be normal during the day, but at night would enter trance-like states, screaming and reacting violently to sacred objects. Ronald finally appeared to be cured after a final exorcism where he said he saw a vision of Saint Michael defeating Satan on a battlefield. Number 6, George Lukins. In the 1770s, a tailor named George Lukins started acting strangely. He was speaking in strange voices, making inhuman noises, and would go into fits of rage out of nowhere. He stayed in a hospital for 18 months where doctors deemed him incurable, not really sure what was wrong with him. People started to gossip that he was bewitched, and George himself said that he was possessed by no less than 7 different demons. Finally, in Bristol's Temple Church, 7 priests oversaw his exorcism. He apparently stated that he was the devil himself, becoming more violent and singing hymns backwards. Eventually, the priests finished their ritual and demanded that the demons return back to hell, and apparently it worked. Lukins called out "Blessed Jesus," started praising God, and thanking those that had helped him. George Lukins went on with his life, after the event always being described as calm and happy. It's not often that you get a happy ending to these types of stories. Number 5. Charlie. If you were in school around the same time that I was, it's likely you've heard the story of Charlie, or even gathered around a desk with your friends to try and play it yourself. The game works like this. You split a paper into 4 sections, 2 labeled with yes and 2 labeled with no. You then stack 2 pencils on top of each other and ask, Charlie, are you there? The pencil is then supposed to move on its own to point to a yes or no answer. You can then go on to ask Charlie whatever burning questions are on your mind, and it will give you an answer. The person moving the pencils is supposedly a demon who was a child named, you guessed it, Charlie. While it may seem like a simple game, there are plenty of videos and stories of teens playing the game and supposedly actually summoning Charlie, the pencils moving and seeming to bring with them an aura of unease. This is an easy enough game to try out for yourself if you want to, but I'll leave that up to you guys. Number 4. Estefania Lazaro. This girl was born in South Madrid in the 1970s, and according to her parents, Estefania started playing around with the occult from a young age. Eventually, she ended up performing a seance at school in an attempt to contact one of her friend's deceased boyfriends. The ritual was interrupted by a teacher, but her friends said that they saw a strange smoke going up into her mouth and nose. Since that day, she started suffering from hallucinations and seizures, but doctors weren't able to find anything medically wrong with her. She was then found deceased in her bedroom in 1991, but there seemed to be no explanation for how she had actually died. Her parents blamed it on her connection to the occult and her usage of a Ouija board, and strange things started happening in the house afterwards. This ranged from banging noises to objects appearing to jump from shelves. It seems that she hadn't managed to contact her friend's dead lover, but instead something far more sinister. Number 3. Revenge. Summoning demons isn't just a thing of the past, and many true believers still attempt to do it today. One user took to the internet to tell his story of attempting to summon the demon Malphas, who is supposedly second in command under Satan, having 40 legions of demons working under him. He wanted to get revenge on someone from school, and so he started a ritual. He drew a symbol on the ground in blood and swallowed salt to try and prevent getting possessed. He lit candles and supposedly had a real skull, all of which he laid out before reciting a prayer that is meant for Satan, but changing the name to Malphas. He said he then woke up face down on the floor and covered in blood, 5 hours apparently having passed since he first performed the ritual. He said he was terrified and could feel the presence of the demon in his room. I think he shouldn't have been so surprised. If you try and summon a demon, don't be too shocked if one shows up. Number 2. Gottliebin Dittus. In the 1800s, a woman by the name of Gottliebin Dittus lived in a small village in Germany. She was very religious growing up, and when her parents died at a young age, she lived with her siblings, continuing to attend services. However, strange things started to happen to her. She said that her house was haunted and she would often go into trance-like states. She said she was being visited in the night by the ghost of a woman holding a baby in her arms. She thought that evil spirits had been after her since she was a baby and her mother had been keeping them away. She also said her aunt was a witch, who may have been responsible for the evil spirits and demons. Eventually, it was determined that she had been possessed, and she underwent an exorcism that lasted 2 whole years. The Reverend reported her throwing up glass, nails, and blood, and she apparently became very physically violent. The demons were eventually finally removed by the Reverend, and he became like a celebrity for managing to complete the rituals. Number 1. Under the bed. 6 years ago, one person told the story of how they think they may have accidentally summoned a demon in their youth. From a young age, they had been obsessed with dark and creepy things and had decided to make themselves a creepy doll, because hey, who wouldn't? But when sewing it closed, they pricked their finger, trapping some of their blood inside the doll. From then on, they always felt like they were being watched, and even said they would hear raspy breathing at night. They felt they knew there was a spirit with them and asked its name, and it replied in the same raspy voice saying, "Adam." They also recalled a time when they had sensed a presence in their room and looked under their bed to see a face, looking at them obscured in the dark. Even when they moved houses, they left the doll behind, but it suddenly appeared in a drawer in their new home. More things would continue to happen for years, like objects disappearing or sounds from empty rooms. Eventually, they had a friend come over to visit who became panicked when apparently hearing the raspy voice repeating its name. When they left, all the strange occurrences stopped happening, and they believed that the demon had attached itself to their friend and left. I don't know about you guys, but if one of my friends stuck a demon to me, I don't think I'd ever talk to them again. Thank you guys for watching. That was 10 people who summoned real demons. I've been Woody and you've been amazing. Join us next time for more lists and scary things.